Brat falls into sewage. I worked in a restaurant chain 10 years ago and this happened a year before I left. At work half of the site was closed due to cleaning and maintenance. Of course Karen wasn't happy. We had a swings, slide outside, basically an outside play gym. It was pretty cool but rarely used as it was on the side. I was tasked to help the pub out and THSD included cleaning up glasses from outside. This is when I saw them both outside playing happily. Long story short, at some point the kid went to the bathroom. She was like 11. Mom stayed and finished her wine and was on her phone. I am again tasked to get glasses outside, so I proceed to do so. I saw the girl coming my way and saw her rubbing her head. I gestured for her to go ahead of me through the door and she does. So I'm behind the girl and Mom clocks up at us and says, "Why did you hit my daughter?" I was so confused I even looked at my own hand to make sure I didn't make any contact. The kid lied, said I pulled her hair in the bathroom to make her leave. Of course I denied it, but her sweet princess wouldn't lie, would she? Alas, my manager, bless him, eventually came over and stood by me. He said he's been with me the whole time, but of course she didn't believe him. He asked her to leave as she wasn't welcomed anymore, and she packs up her stuff, leaves loads of rubbish and leaves. We thought that was the end of it. My shift had ended and I drove home seeing Karen with kid in the mirror. My manager calls me telling me what happened after I left. Apparently little princess was bored waiting for their Uber to arrive, so Mom lets her stop on mole holes and water drain grates. The daughter fell into the hole as she jumped on it with such force it broke it. Mom brings child into the pub and demands DHSD. Someone needs to clean her kid's trousers as she fell and wasn't happy. She has told no. She didn't tell the staff what she fell into sewage and expected them to put those dirty trousers in the same washing machine that we clean our table clothes with. The manager saw Mom again, asked why she was back in and did full impact statement and injury report as he offered to pay for her ride, so she filled it in. A few days later, Karen comes back wanting compensation as she said she took her daughter to the hospital as she was worried she might have picked something up. Her bill costed over $6,000. Apparently Brat had tests and scans done just to be safe, and it seems someone at the hospital or friend told her to claim. She said she was going to sue until my really cool supervisor, Becca, reminds her THSD she filled an incident report and admitted on paper her child jumped on and broke the cover due to her lack of supervision. Karen scoffed and left with no money. Entitled aunt demands my mother and siblings to pay for her cell phone, TV and more. To start the story of, you will need some information. My aunt and my mother hate each other since childhood, and my aunt was very manipulative to my grandparents forever. As example, when both were young, about 6 to 7, my aunt called my mom by every slur she knew. My mother just shrugged and told her, "If you think so," and that pissed my aunt off. She hit my mom, walked to their dad and claimed to him that my mom did everything to her, that she actually did to my mom. That made my grandfather go up to my mother and beat her close to a knockout. Meanwhile my aunt stood in the corner and just watched, smiling and chuckling. Such things happened all the time. My grandparents never asked if anything my aunt did was a lie or not, but whenever my mom said something she would lie. My aunt is just the favorite/youngest child that can never be wrong. Now to the actual story. My sister got a job in the military and needed a new car for her and her son. She asked my mother and stepdad if they could help in any way, because my stepdad had a lot of contacts and he did everything he could. At the end, my sister decided to lease a car and buy it off in a few years. So she started to do her paperwork and got everything done and send the papers off to the car dealer, but it got denied. Nobody knew why, so she called the place and they told her she had a Schufa entry for unpaid phone bills. For all the non-Germans here, just a short description. The Schufa is like a list from a private organization where everybody is written on who is in department, and whenever you try to rent an apartment, want to get a loan and such stuff, the person you try to get this from can ask the Schufa if you got any entry there to choose if they let you get the thing you want or not. I do not fully understand how it works myself, so I tried to give as good of and simple explanation I can give. Everyone got confused because my sister had a phone, but always paid everything. My stepdad told her to go to a lawyer and find out what happened. The lawyer asked around and found out what happened. It was real. My sister had unpaid phone bills. The bills are for 2 of the newest iPhones of the time and their contracts worth the phone company. My sister was single, had a Samsung at the time, and her son was too young to have a phone, so she surely didn't need 2 iPhones. The lawyer dug deeper. He found out the phones were ordered to an address that didn't belong to my sister, but to the address of my aunt. My whole family already knew what had happened, but decided to call her. First, she denied everything and told us that she doesn't even have a iPhone. But when she was asked about the contract in the name of my sister, she said she used the wrong name and will get it fixed. That's most defiantly a lie, because she would have to sign like 3 different papers while writing the name of my sister every time instead of hers, and their names weren't similar, so she couldn't mix them up easily. So my family did go the legal route and sue her for that. We actually needed to do that to get the SHUFA entry removed from my sister so she can get her car. In those legal procedures, we found some other things out. My aunt actually also got an internet contract and the payment for her TV in the name of my brother, who only turned 18 some months ago. To get any contract in Germany without the consent of your parents, you have to be 18 or older, and she got her electricity bills in the name of our grandparents. I was just 16 at the time, so luckily she couldn't do any payments in my name. She still kinda did that, didn't come out here. She didn't pay a cent for any of them and said things like, "I am a single mother, I need help with all of those things and you guys can afford it." Everyone from my side of the family was pissed, besides my grandparents, and we will get later to that. She didn't just take payment in the name of my family, she didn't tell anyone about them and made us get an apartment for her own luxury items. We couldn't afford any of this, but she did in our names. So the lawyer starts to get everything for the sue ready, when my grandparents called my sister and my mother. They wanted us to drop anything and just pay for the things. My aunt would deserve it because we didn't pay for thing X in the past. X equals she wanted my mom to pat her €100 because me and my brother ate with her and her son twice. Of course my family didn't stop the sue and my aunt lost the case. She had to pay for everything she got in others' names, besides the things with my grandparents. They didn't sue because it's her daughter and she was in the right all the time in their eyes. And my aunt just got a fine and not much more. End of the story. My sister got her car and was happy about that, but everyone just hated my aunt more than ever. My aunt is just the classical German Karen and did a lot of more shady stuff, but I don't know where to post that stories. Entitled neighbor wants her kids in my garden. I, 29F, don't have any kids, but have my younger sister, 16, living with me for around 10 years, and we have a trampoline still in our back garden from when she was younger. Neighbor to the left of me, has 4 kids, and moved in a year ago. 2 weeks ago, Glasgow started getting really good weather, so the kids have been out playing constantly, not an issue. They asked if I could let the kids use the trampoline one day, so I was like sure, but only for a bit because I have friends coming over for some drinks. 7 p.m. comes, I ask them to go home because my 5 friends have shown up, and we're going to be drinking. Cue the crying. They leave the garden upset, but hey, that's not my issue. They've been on it for 3 hours at this point. Their mom pops her head out her bedroom window and asks if they can stay in the garden longer. No? I'm not your babysitter. She's annoyed but drops it. Last week, I come home from some shopping, and to my surprise, find all 4 of the kids in the garden, plus their younger cousin. Ask them to leave, tell them they can't just come into my garden without me there, and they didn't even ask. They refuse to leave, so I shout up at their mom and tell her to get them out the garden. She says let them play for a bit, you don't even use it. Okay, but still, not your garden? Eventually we get into an argument, and they leave. She's pissed off and shouting, saying I'm being a Karen and I should let them in. I tell her not to ask again because the answer will be no. This happened again the day after, all 4 kids plus their cousin, waiting till I move the car from the drive and heading straight into the garden. So I wake up this morning. I've since put a lock on the trampoline, just a small one on the mesh safety enclosure to stop them opening it up, cause I'm petty AF. Plus it's Saturday, I'm not working today, my day off, and I want a long lie. But no, neighbor decides that at 9 a.m. this morning, her kids are being fired straight out that house with breakfast bars and a bottle of water, and they head straight into the garden. So I can hear them from my window. I look out and tell them to leave. By the time I get downstairs, Mom has descended from her house, and is trying to climb the fence between our gardens, shouting about how I used to let them use it and she's going to call the police for hitting her kids. Great, you do that. I'll be sure to show them the Ring camera footage, which coincidentally also has footage of your husband picking the lock open so your brats can use the trampoline. So long story short, entitled mother sent her kids into my garden repeatedly even after being told not to. Calls police on me for harassment and hitting her kids and ends up getting her own husband arrested for theft and housebreaking, and criminal damage. Suck it, bitch.